This footnote is about a BS student survey that threatened my professional reputation.
Fun.
Yeah. So, Mika, we talked about this a little bit in the full episode, that in one of my former workplaces, as we know, I used to teach at a university. There was a new system put in place for the students to provide feedback on their teachers, which isn't a revolutionary thing, right? But one of the problems that popped up was with how these surveys were delivered and processed, right? So on this particular occasion, I was teaching the highest level of students at our in our cohort, and it was such a drama working with this particular group. One of the common issues was with lateness and attendance, right? So on one side, we as the teachers were told you got to be strict on lateness. You got to be strict, do this, that, and the other thing to make sure that students understand that they need to be on time for class. It's okay, cool. Anyway, so I was very particular about lateness, and I was very direct with the students about why they needed to be in class on time and all the rest of it. Now, this particular group, they struggled for various reasons. Some were quite astute academically, some just were not. But there was one ringleader in this group who would make these ridiculous demands that no teacher would be able to honor. But it was just they had this attitude that I just didn't want to help them.
Right.
But towards the end of the semester, it looked like, a lot of the students were in danger of failing, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if this was their direct motivation for this planned attack, but it really felt like they were throwing me under the bus so that in case they did fail, they could just blame me for it. Timing-wise, that's what fit. When I spoke to other colleagues, that was the scenario that made the most sense. But the thing is, these students in the survey, they just ripped me apart, accused me of doing all this ridiculous stuff that I clearly did not do. But there was clear evidence in this thing that it was a planned attack. Statements as clear as, we wanted to complain earlier, but we were worried about what problem it might cause. It's okay, do you not see the word we used here?
Yeah.
Do you not see that it's these students had many pathways to report this behavior they were accusing me of? I had a co-teacher. They could have spoken to the co-teacher. They could have spoken to the coordinator for that particular unit. They could have spoken to anyone in HR. They could have spoken to the program manager. No one breathed a word the entire semester. It was only through this survey, which I didn't even receive the results of until the beginning of the next semester, because that was just how these things were timed. But the reaction was I was expected to explain myself and why I was such a bad educator. I was just wait a minute,
to explain
hang on,
something. Yeah, it's a bit hard to explain something if you didn't do it. You're I don't know, I didn't do it.
Exactly. And it's I was just flabbergasted. I was stunned. Not only that they would do this to me, because it's these people gave me a gift at the end of the semester. I know. I was completely blindsided. I had no idea that they were going to do this.
Yeah.
And I even tried to explain this to the person I was explaining myself to. But it's hang on a minute. Okay. First of all, the email about this was sent, the message about this was sent via email. It's you can't do that to your staff. It's oh, here's something that's going to absolutely tear through your heart and rip you to shreds. You're just going to sit at your desk and receive this, and it's going to be fine. It's like, that is not okay. It's like
Yeah.
there was no consideration for the potential mental health impacts of this information. And even when I like wrote out a very detailed reply to absolutely every accusation, there was no follow-up for that. There was no like, oh, I understand. I was put under
Yeah.
more observation in the following semester. And what was ridiculous about that also was that because, like, you know, the powers that be had clearly decided that the problem wasn't the students and the problem was me, which made no sense whatsoever. It was like I was then put in a position where it's like, well, gee, now I, you know, can't afford to piss off the wrong student because this could happen again. I had absolutely
And
no
it really
support.
undermines academic integrity as well, in that you're now having teachers feel like they are under the thumb of a student, and you can't mark them appropriately, and you can't be tough the way academic faculty should be,
Yeah, yeah.
because you're afraid.
Yeah. And when I tell you that they were accusing me of like the most BS stuff, it was stuff like, oh, she's always playing on her iPad. It's like, are you kidding me? Did you not see, did you not clock the fact that like my iPad had the freaking cable coming out of it, connecting it to the HDMI monitor that connected to the freaking screen that you were staring at the whole time?
Well, you weren't making enough eye contact.
But the thing is, it's like, this is my technological setup. I store my books electronically so I can use them in the way that, you know, the rest of the faculty hadn't cottoned on to the fact that we had the capabilities of doing that in the way that I would do it, because I was an early adopter of a lot of educational technologies. But no, they called it playing on my iPad.
Well, you should sit there flicking through pages instead of being able to use Control F.
Well, see, it was nuts. You know, one student wrote some stuff about how like I always left the room, sometimes to talk on the phone, or to talk on my phone, and it's like, when I read that, I immediately I just put the paper down and I was like, are you kidding me? The only time that I left the room to talk on my phone was while they were doing a practice reading exam, and I was liaising with the library to try to hire a set of VR headsets based on a PD session we had just attended previously about using the library's VR headsets for educational purposes, and there was a specific activity that I wanted to conduct related to Alzheimer's research and VR that was directly related to the report that they were going to be writing. The reason I was using my mobile phone instead of the room phone was because I didn't want a return phone call to disrupt the students with that room phone ringing. But did that come through in the survey? Fuck no. It was, oh, she left the room to talk on her phone. And I was like, funnily enough, when it was established that the library did not have a full class set of VR headsets that I could use in that next session, I used my own goddamn VR headset that I just happened to have at my desk to facilitate that exercise. I was going the extra bloody mile.
There's
but it was framed as me being
situations like
lazy.
I swear it doesn't matter how hard you try and how much you try to give. There's always someone there to say you never give enough, and that you, in fact, are a terrible person for behaving that way.
And this was a level, like the level that I was teaching was one that a lot of teachers actively avoided. And I even said, like, what sense would it make if I wanted to like sit back and just chat on my phone and play freaking Candy Crush? Why would I have specifically requested to teach this level? Why? Like, how does that make sense? But that relates to the whole like being indistractable thing, in that the following I think I only lasted like 2 or 3 more semesters. I was like, I'm done with this place. This is ridiculous. Is that I then had this pressure to like just be at my students' beck and call, just in case. I was just really overburdened with this whole like, I need to cater to my students' needs over and over and over again. And it wasn't until like I got so burnt out for a bit that I was like, you know what, I literally don't have to be here anymore. That I was like, I'm just done. And then like the following groups that I had were great. They were such lovely students. It was just this one group that just went nasty on me because of this one ringleader. And it was just, it was ridiculous. So I didn't have the option to just like psychologically, and because I was in a psychologically unsafe workplace, I didn't have the option to just shut off after class. And it was impacting everything. It was impacting my well-being. It was impacting my family. It was bloody awful. So when I quit, no one was surprised. Sometimes I wish I still had that letter just to like, I don't know, just to revisit.
But you can't keep internal emails.
Well, no, I had it printed out because then I had to like spend my weekend writing a response to it.
Right.
But anyway, it was
fun.
So that is my story of a BS student survey that threatened my professional reputation.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was all BS. It was all just BS. I'm going to stop recording now and just take a bunch of deep breaths.